Have you ever stopped to think about what the world would be like without our most dominant sense? I don't just mean for you, but for everyone. A world where sight, the very thing that has shaped our civilization, just vanished.
So yeah, let's really dive into that. What if, overnight, every single human being was plunged into total darkness? How would we even survive? How would we adapt? And could we? Could we actually rebuild? Okay, to really wrap your head around just how big of a deal this is, get this. About 80%, yeah, 80% of everything we perceive about the world comes through our eyes. And our brains, more than half of the cortex, the processing powerhouse, is dedicated just to sight. So you see, vision isn't just one of 5 senses. It's literally the scaffolding our entire reality is built on.
So what happens when you instantly rip that scaffolding away? Well, absolute chaos. In those first days, the entire world, a world built by and for the seeing, would just grind to a dead stop. It would be this catastrophic, cascading failure, a total domino effect. Planes, cars, trains, they'd all fail immediately. The power grids, which are all managed by visual interfaces, would flicker out. And here's where it really hits home. Every single screen, every sign, every book on every shelf. Overnight, they'd become completely useless, just meaningless relics.
But after that initial collapse, something pretty extraordinary would start to happen. Humanity would begin this massive cognitive rewiring, maybe the largest in our history. We'd have to turn away from the silence of sight and embrace the richness of our other senses. You know, our other senses, which have always kind of played second fiddle to vision, would awaken with this incredible new power. The world would stop being a gallery of images and would transform into, well, a tapestry of sounds, textures, temperatures, and vibrations. And this is amazing. A skill that only a few people have mastered today could become a universal human trait, echolocation. By making clicks with our mouths and listening to the echoes, we could learn to navigate, to see with sound. Our entire world would become this living, breathing, acoustic map. So this new world wouldn't be quiet and empty. No way. It would be the opposite. The constant clicking and tapping of echolocation, the shuffling and sounds of movement. It would turn our cities into these vibrant, resonant spaces, a literal symphony of navigation and life. So what does this look like in the long run? Well, with our senses totally rewired, we wouldn't just be trying to get by in the old world. We'd start building an entirely new one, designed from the ground up, not for the eye, but for the ear and the hand. Think about language. It would have to become tactile. But, we're talking way beyond modern Braille here. Imagine a new system, something incredibly complex and multidimensional, a language that could encode not just words, but tone, emotion, even spatial information. Reading would become this rich, physical dialogue. And this might be one of the most profound changes of all. All of our social hierarchies built on skin color, on fashion, on what we consider beautiful, they would just dissolve. The entire concept of judging a person by how they look would become utterly meaningless. The way we connect with each other would be fundamentally transformed. Attraction wouldn't be about love at first sight anymore. It couldn't be. Instead, it would be about a much deeper kind of compatibility, the resonance of someone's voice, their scent, the emotional energy they give off. We'd have, love at first resonance?
Our cities would have to change too. Of course. Architects would stop caring about how a skyline looks and start focusing on how a street sounds. Buildings might have different textures to tell you what they are by touch, and streets could be curved to create perfect, clear pathways for echolocation.
And what about science? It would adapt. Observation would mean sensing patterns in new ways. Astronomers would explore the invisible universe by studying gravitational waves and radio signals. Biologists could map an entire rainforest just by its symphony of sounds and smells. All of this leads us to a really fascinating paradox. Is it possible that by losing our sight, humanity could actually gain a deeper, more profound way of seeing?
Think about it for a second. Sight is a distancing sense. It puts you, the observer, over here, and the world you're looking at over there. But sound and touch, they're immersive. To hear something is to literally feel its vibration inside you. To touch something is to close that distance. We'd stop looking at the world and start being truly entangled within it.
Our deepest ideas about spirituality would have to transform. Think of concepts like enlightenment or illumination. They wouldn't mean anything anymore. Maybe God would no longer be seen as light, but as a kind of universal resonance. The sacred would be found not in what is seen, but in what is felt, a shared vibration, a universal harmony.
And over generations, this would all just become normal. Blindness wouldn't be a deficiency or a disability anymore. It would simply be the human condition, the way we all experience life.
Which brings us right back to that central paradox. We put so much faith in our eyes to show us what's real, but what if our total reliance on sight actually blinds us to the deeper, subtler layers of reality, the parts that can only be felt and heard?
So it leaves us with this one big final question to chew on. Maybe by losing our vision, we'd finally see ourselves in our world more clearly than ever. A species defined not by the images we see, but by the connections we feel. What if consciousness was never really about seeing the world at all, but about feeling our place within it?